What is up, Bills Mafia? Another awesome episode. I told you guys last week, week before that, just wait. I got some guests coming on, a full slate of guests, and I'm joined by an awesome guest tonight. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your night tonight, Chris. I know you're a busy guy, whether it's podcasting, whether it's being the daddest man on the planet. I appreciate you hopping on tonight. Chris Mazella of the Step Brothers Sports podcast, fellow Buffalo fan base member. It's good to have you on, buddy.
Hey Ryan, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me on. Sorry I had to postpone last week. I got
You're
a
good.
nasty bug last week. Just finally got on the mend and in good shape as of I'd say probably this past weekend. So I really appreciate your flexibility on this, and it's great to be on.
No problem. I've been there. I've been there a few times. I've had to reschedule a few things due to those same reasons. So especially during those pesky COVID years. So I understand where you're coming from on that. So no problem at all. So we got a huge show planned for the folks at home tonight. The views will trickle in. You guys tuning in on the Buffalo fan base Twitter feed, as well as my YouTube channel, the Thomas Six Sports Podcast. Chris opened his Twitter up as well to the show tonight. And for the folks of you that are tuning into this now, I post things, after the fact to the audio audience. So if you're tuning in on your drive into work today, this show is recorded Wednesday night, 9 p.m., June 3rd. So you're tuning into this on June 4th. And you're going to hear a lot of really good takes between AFC East outlooks, maybe talking a little bit of trade conversation too. We had some big trades. But we got to go across town. We got to go from Orchard Park to downtown Buffalo. And we gotta start where the iron is hot on this news.
Like you said off camera, starting with some violence.
Yes, choosing violence tonight. Putting our dukes up for Lindy Ruff. We're gonna rough up those John Cooper fans, I think, with some of these takes. Lindy Ruff, Chris, was robbed of the Jack Adams Award today. Tampa Bay Lightning head coach John Cooper wins the Adams Award. I'm going to change the name of the Adams Award. I want your take on this. Is it the Canadian Coach Sympathy Award?
I think it's just the overall, like, people are treating this like it's a lifetime achievement award of sorts more than anything. And it's like, if you're going to give this award out to the most deserving coach of this year, John Cooper had an all-star lineup all the way up and down on his bench. I mean, you have Victor Hedman, you have Andrei Vasilevsky, you have Jake Gensel, you have countless all-stars. I mean, I know I'm confident I'm missing a few. I'm not a Lightning expert, but just knowing enough just based on my years of watching hockey, just from what I remember about them. But he has not had issues with attracting talent to Tampa, because obviously it's an income tax-free state. I mean, he was a one and done in round one of the playoffs this year. Granted, game 7, sure, but still, it has a track record of that now as well. He also head coach of Team Canada in the Olympics this year. Got silver. Again, that should be something that's marked right there. Did not win the Atlantic Division. Beaten out by our own Buffalo Sabres, of course. And not to mention the fact that Lindy Ruff bested at John Cooper 3 out of the 4 times that they played each other. Not to mention that 4th game, which I think was the first one, went to overtime, and it was just, again, just off a lucky break. I think Tage just mismanaged the puck, and it went away on a breakaway to Jake Gensel, and I believe Colton Ellis was in net. But still, no blame on that. Just anyway, but still, there are so many different reasons why you could see that Lindy Ruff was infinitely the more deserving coach to win the Jack Adams Award. Granted, he's already won the award, but everybody making a big deal back in December and January saying, "Oh, John Cooper's never won the award. John Cooper's never won. He so deserves it." But why though? I mean, Lindy again, obviously navigated the first playoff berth for the Sabres in 15 years, won the division, again beat Cooper 3 out of 4 times. I mean, we have a laundry list of items we could take a look at here. Won a round in the Stanley Cup playoffs this year, almost won 2 at this point as well. I mean, there's just so many different reasons why you should consider Lindy for this. And I was thinking about this, I'm not going to get myself fired up about this, and I'm not going to be like, oh, look at us, a loser mentality Buffalo, or the lovable loser, that type of thing. But just like that's really dumb. Just the way that like the voting went down, because I looked at how the first, second, and third place votes went. Lindy Ruff lost by 3 points. 3. And again, here's my co-host, Sean. Thanks for chiming in, Sean. Yeah, Lindy did get robbed, period. Cooper has never won. Let's make sure he gets one. So
yeah,
shaking his head. So could not agree more with that. But again, I said earlier today, saying like, whatever. It's just going to add some more fuel to the fire, some locker room motivation going into next year, chip on the shoulder, like that type of mentality. But just like the more you see out of this, it's just like this was such a sympathy vote. And I know a lot of like objectors will say like, oh, Josh Allen's MVP award the year he and Lamar Jackson were going head to head. It's the same thing. But I mean, you could look at Lamar Jackson the year before. He had worse stats than Allen's MVP year. So, but again, like it's really just annoying just the way the voters really like had voted this year for the Jack Adams Coach of the Year in the NHL. And it's just a shame for all the good things that happened. Obviously, I understand why Rasmus Dahlin did not win the Norris Trophy. Like, again, like that would have been a cool thing. I would be shocked otherwise if he did not win the Masterson Trophy, because that's the one where it's like the player most dedicated to hockey and the sport, things
like
like
a character award too.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
More of a character award and his dedication to the sport. And I think for him to not get it this year after all that he's faced, like off the ice and not to mention on the ice, like that'd be ridiculous if he didn't get it.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I've always had like this chip on my shoulder, and I'm sure you've had it too, just being from this community and being sports fans of both of these teams for as long as we have been, which is our whole lives. We were talking a little bit off the air prior to me hitting record. You're a Depew guy. I'm a Lockport guy, like section 6 kind of area.
6.
That's kind of just who we are. Like we just have like that chip on our shoulder of when these teams were really bad. We remember it very well, and it took a long time for us to get good for both of these teams. Bills had a 17-year playoff drought, couldn't find a quarterback for whatever reason. None of the quarterbacks worked, which were a lot of different reasons. Sabres fire Lindy Ruff, go through all these coaches and a playoff drought, bring Lindy Ruff back, end said playoff drought. I think that's what really stands out to me. Like all the reasons you named are all valid, but like this whole franchise went a whole generation without Lindy Ruff as their coach. He comes back and then they go back to the playoffs.
He pulled the Thanos where he said, this 14 years of no playoffs, where did that lead you? Back to me.
Yeah, back to me. And he was inevitable. The fact that guys like him and John Tortorella keep getting these opportunities of coaching the Devils or coaching the Flyers or coaching the Golden Knights, those things aren't by accident. They are very,
not to mention the fact Lindy Ruff this past year, he got I believe he's number 4 in top wins of all time, or winningest coaches of all time. I think after, in theory, like as long as he plays out the length of this new contract he got, he should be able to get that 2,000 regular season win threshold between this year and next year, just depending on how it goes, of course. So I think it's like 50 or so away, give or take. So
and just in terms of like all-time coaching wins, I know he's top 3. I'm pretty sure. So winning percentage, he's even higher, that's insane. And, I thought that, there's a lot of guys that we listen to. I don't know if you listen to After the Whistle as much as I do.
Of course, yes.
Those guys are great. I love those guys. But there's a lot of other Sabres alumni out there that would say, man, Lindy was rough, man, in the 90s. Like he didn't take, he took no prisoners. He was his way or no way. He doesn't coach like that anymore, and still has the positive results in this different era of kind of skill versus grit, than what it is today. It's so much more skill based than what it was toughness based in the 90s. It goes without saying. And he was still able to get the 50 wins that he's had a few times with a few different franchises in his head coaching career. So truly remarkable. He's our head coach of the year. That's all that matters, I guess,
right?
right?
And I think the Sabres social media accounts posted like that same exact caption that you just gave there too.
Did they? Did they?
Yeah,
Wow.
and I obviously hammered away at reposting that as well, just because again, like it's not one of those things where just like, oh, here we go again, lovable loser mentality, but like at the same time, like for all the years for John Cooper to get it, they pick this one. It's just like something's awry here.
Do you think that the only thing I can say is that I feel like it's a sympathy award because he came up just short in that gold medal game, that they felt like, this guy's paid his dues. He had a real trying year, and yet Tampa still was able to be a good team and this and that. That's like I'm trying to justify it. I don't think there's any justification for it at all. But like, do you think that's what the NHL, which is a Toronto-based league, with the people out there, the powers that be, do you think that's why they made this decision?
I mean, yes and no, only because like you wonder like when these votes were cast. Like if it was say back in December or January, sure, that made sense. Like they were cruising. But again, you have a team full of all-stars,
right?
And you're doing this on a regular basis year after year. You're still one of the top teams. You're riding one of the hottest goalies in the sport. I mean, a perennial Vezina candidate in Vasilevsky. I mean, the one thing that really stood out to me this year about John Cooper is the fact that anything that was going wrong for the team, he never looked inward. He always found a way to like blame like the most obscure things. I remember like in one of the games against the Sabres. Right? Yeah, it was a 3-on-3 overtime. He blamed that for the Olympics. I remember there was like some ridiculous thing about like the penalty box door opening and hitting one of their players. Like again, that was unfortunate.
Yeah.
I remember that, but like he's finding every little thing to complain about instead of looking inward, saying like, what could you have done better in this case? Or what decisions could you have made better? And at the same time, like you look at the discipline of the Tampa Bay Lightning, like, yes, they are very skilled. They're a powerful team, but they're always doing extracurriculars after the whistle, getting in your cheap shots, which is why Brandon Hagel is such a hated human being around Western New York and for Sabre and Buffalo fandom all near and far. So like, again, you have players like that, just not playing disciplined or just getting like dumb penalties like that all around.
Right.
Like you wonder how much order he really has. Of course, he's a respected coach. I'm not going to disagree with that because he's been around. I think he's one of the longest tenured coaches in place at this point in time now.
Yep.
But still, like for all the stuff that he like complains about, that really just puts a little bit more of a sour taste in it for me. And again, like he's always there winning with the same squad, same elite stacked group of players. And it's just year after year. And just like, again, like you were saying there, Ryan, it feels very much like a sympathy vote. And like I alluded to earlier on, like a lifetime achievement of sorts. Whereas where you got the guy this year of all years who was way more deserving, breaking a playoff drought, winning the division, doing everything he could to scrape and claw the Sabres. Again, not trying to make it sound like a homer take here, but just like all the evidence is overwhelmingly in Lindy's favor here. So it sucks.
We know one thing too, and this is what brings a sheer, just joyful smile to my face. Lindy Ruff does not give a rat's ass whether he won that award or not.
And here's the better part: he's already won it, and he's been a finalist a few other times too. Like, would it have been an awesome cherry on top to the season? Absolutely.
Right. He cares least of all people. Like he's like whatever, But at this point, like I think a lot of Lindy isms that have happened over the years, even in his first stint here, like he makes no bones about it when he sees something that he doesn't like.
Yep.
Whether it's against the league or not, he doesn't. Maybe that has a little bit to do with it too. He is very outspoken coach.
Funny you mentioned that.
Like a John Tortorella.
It's funny you mentioned that because I feel like next year, if things get chippy, say between the Sabres and the Lightning, which it's very likely to, just being division rivals, and especially now the history of this past year, if the Sabres say win like a bunch of the games like they did this past year as far as the season series goes, I could picture Lindy like having some cheeky, snarky response Well, it's just like, hey, how's that Jack Adams collecting dust on your mantle treating you, or something like that. I could very much see him doing that. Because
Jack Adams did not win us that game. I could see him saying something like that.
Oh, yeah, like something exactly like that. No, or like what Joe DiBiase says, Quack Adams or something like that.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see what it turns into with the rivalry, because I do think the Tampa Bay Buffalo rivalry is probably the hottest, newest rivalry that the game's got. One of them for sure. So yeah, we had to touch on that to start off, and I know you're a huge hockey fan, as am I. So, much respect to the Sabres and what they did this year. It was a really bitter pill to swallow watching that Game 7 go down the way that it did, but I'm gonna take the moral victory and say it was a hell of a year.
Sure was.
Sure
was. We were fortunate, my brother and a couple friends and I, to go to Game 1 against Boston, where it looked a little dicey for a while, but then the roof blew off the place right towards the end. So
I hopped the bar scene and I'm not, really into that. Like, I took a long hiatus from that, from my early 20s, really till now.
Sure.
It's like, this is the time to do it. This is the time to make this, back into my routine. I went to Big Ditch in Buffalo, Big Ditch in Lockport, Mooney's, you name it. I went Amherst Ale House. I went everywhere.
I bet all those places had a great vibe because everybody was there for the same thing.
Yes, it was, and it made the games more memorable. Even the ones that they lost, it's a part of it. It's just a part of the DNA around here, and it's what makes this place really special. So, on to the gridiron and these Buffalo Bills. What the people are here for. They want to hear your takes on the Bills, as they want to hear mine too. And I've had a lot of people, kind of tweeting at me here, and people Instagram messaging me saying, do I think that this is a Super Bowl or bust season? Like, you know what? I'm not going to answer that. I'm going to answer that Wednesday when Chris is on the show. So let's really dive into this. What does Super Bowl or bust mean to you this season for the 26-27 Buffalo Bills? Like, do you think, with all the changes that the Bills have made with their coaching staff, with Joe Brady and Pete Carmichael and now Jim Leonard running the defense, do you think that this season is like they got to get to the Super Bowl year one with all these new coaches?
So
no wrong answer, by the way.
I'll kind of base it off of a couple guys I was listening to. I was listening to Tyler Dunn and Jay Skursky on Tyler Dunn's Go Long podcast.
Tyler Dunn, former guest. I love that guy.
He's the man. I love Tyler as well. He's been on our show as well a couple times. So he is the man. So shout out to Go Long. Subscribe to Go Long. Nothing like it in all the sports media. But anyway, he and Jay were talking about how the benchmark for the Bills was the AFC Championship, and they were kind of referencing the fact, like saying like that was a way in which Sean McDermott maybe underperformed. So I would tend to probably agree with what they were saying in how that Joe Brady bringing a fresh new approach. You could like a lot of the media reporting so far is that like it's a totally different vibe, not as uptight. Not that Sean McDermott was just like strict, like button up in every single capacity of it, but like he was strict where he wanted it to be. Whereas right now you could already see like different facets of the team being a little bit more loose. You're signing guys like CJ Gardner-Johnson. So for me, at least, I would say the absolute bare minimum, if you have, again, another betting Super Bowl favorite within the top 3 to 5 teams, if you don't at least get to the conference championship, I wouldn't say it's Super Bowl or bust. I'd say it's at least a conference championship or bust, because if you're trying to get to the next level and you're in a very, I don't want to use the word precarious, you're in a regular spot, you're a contending team, you have the quarterback, you have now, in theory, a new weapon, DJ Moore, granted, and a little bit more on him later. He comes with not a checkered history, but like he's older, but he's still got some proven production. You have now a ton of question marks for how the defense is going to look this year. Is it going to be a total flip upside down now that Jim Leonard is installed as the defensive coordinator? Are they going to deploy this defensive line in a way that will actually lead to more sacks and production, or even the secondary with the way they're going to line up in either man coverage or zone coverage? Like you have guys like IGB, coming into the fray as a second-round draft pick. You have Maxwell Hairston coming off an injury-riddled season, but overall having a pretty positive outlook overall.
Very exciting player. Yep.
Oh, yeah. And then you got Christian Benford still being strong and steady. You got another year of Cole Bishop with some experience under his belt. I mean, there's a lot of things at play, and obviously the linebacker position totally going through a number of changes as well. The biggest thing, like, again, is can they actually get the defensive stops that they wanted to get? Because I know a lot of the reason why people look at like previous playoff losses, you go back to the 13 seconds loss, you go back to the loss against the Bengals. Just how do you stop the opposing team from scoring? Whereas you could argue the same side of the coin where the last 3 years, the offense has been in position to win the game. I was there at the home Bills game, Bills Chiefs, where Tyler Bass missed the field goal. They had the opportunity to win it there. Then the following year, they go to the AFC Championship. I mean, the drop pass to Dalton Kincaid. And then this past year with the questionable Brandon Cooks pick versus not a pick, was it a catch type of thing? Not trying to rehash any of that. Like, you could argue that the defense and the offense are just as equally to blame because remember also the offense and Josh Allen were very irresponsible with the football and turning the ball over to the Broncos several times.
Yeah.
So, I mean, can the offense do it? I think so, because they've always shown that they can put the points on the board. But to me, again, if you're really trying to overhaul things, you're really trying to make a huge, significant change, because the Sean McDermott defenses of the past are now no longer there. There's many of the personnel that are still there, but they're having to relearn a new scheme. But can they play in a manner which will be more big play oriented? Are they going to be more aggressive with blitz packages? Are they going to try more exotic secondary schemes to confuse more quarterbacks, leading to interceptions or other big turnovers, things of that nature? I mean, there's so many things you could look at here, but to me, I think if you really want to have it be a benchmark of sorts, I think AFC Championship at a minimum should be the destination for the Bills this year.
Yeah, that's my bar. That's like my floor, I should say. That's my floor, is the AFC title game.
I don't even need a 1 seed for me. Like, I know that was another thing that was elusive to McDermott, but at the same time, that to me, like, if you could reach that benchmark, and I'd still say it's going to be a good season. Of course it will, because you'll have a couple more playoff wins under your belt, and arguably probably very much a winning season in that regard.
Right. And to the fact of, okay, Sean McDermott spent 9 years here, lost in the divisional round. The optics of that in the same year that eventually the Patriots go to the Super Bowl, in Mike Vrabel's, what was it, his first season as the head coach of the Patriots? So that did not look good, right? And now it is Joe Brady's first season. My hope is that, if anything, with that coaching change, maybe it makes the offense a little looser and the defense a little more tighter, if that makes sense. Like, the offense will have a little bit more freedom. Joe Brady will be able to put his extra little, spice on things, a little bit more maybe than what McDermott wanted him to. And Jim Leonard will be able to kind of call the exotic blitzes that he wants, the 3-4 style, utilize the players that they went after, which we'll talk about that. But I think a lot of the players that he did go after were ones that he could count on in that scheme. If they're not going to fit the scheme, they're not going to be here. That's number one, right? That's stating the obvious. But at the same time, they're going to be here to fit a certain role within that scheme. It's not, putting Joey Bosa as a D end to put, Von Miller previously at that same spot, or Leonard Floyd at that same spot. Now you've got kind of a mixture of guys playing different roles compared to anything that they've played before. Like, I'm curious to see what this defense does with a guy like Greg Rousseau. What does this defense do with a guy like Ed Oliver? What does this defense look like with those guys? And I think I obviously have an idea, but at the same time, what will it look like in terms of productivity? Or will there be growing pains with that?
Or even some of the guys that in the past, I was just thinking about, like,
Mhm.
you've got your Dwayne Carters. Obviously, he was sidelined with an Achilles injury last year.
Right.
Is this going to be something that he will be more conducive to as a scheme fit? Because he had some questions after his rookie season. Obviously, like, again, you give some benefit of the doubt after a rookie season, sure. And then it stinks just because he had an injury last year, robbed him of the whole season. Same thing with Landon Jackson, who looks like a giant hulk of a man with all the weight he's put on, 6,000 calories a day, man. Woo.
That's a lot.
Can't even imagine.
Yeah.
But still, you got TJ Sanders looking to maybe get more on the stat sheet after this past year. I think he only had 1 sack the entire year, and I think it was against the Jets in Week 18. He probably has a little bit more of a higher standard for himself, especially, again, second-round pick, traded up to get him, that kind of thing. Deion Walker, I know he's he's like, at the moment, at least penciled in as the nose tackle. So you got a lot of guys right now that could be utilized in so many different facets. I know you talked about Greg Rousseau. Is this going to be better fit for his skill set? Well, he's now considered to be a outside linebacker. Will he be, excuse me, dropping into coverage in any capacity, or will he just be purely like Bradley Chubb, just lining up to go rush the passer? Because Greg Rousseau has a history of being a great edge defender and stuff in the run really well. So will this be more conducive to him, like maybe unlocking what he was at Miami, where he had I think 15 sacks in a season for his final year when he was there? But still, it's the D-line and just seeing how they could change. I'm not worried about the secondary as much. The secondary consistently was always pretty great. I mean, injuries is what killed them, in which, like, we talked about this briefly with my brother and I on our show with the IGB pick, Davidson Igbinosun. It's great to have a depth cornerback, and Bean himself said that it was important for them to get another corner. They consider that to be their greatest need. And you could really make an argument for that too, just because, again,
I think you could easily make an argument for that. To your point, I think if you watch that Denver game, you'd think one tiny injury that didn't even put a player out for the entire game, just took him off the field.
One play.
Forced Bo Nix to say, I'm throwing it that way. Like
at the husk of Dane Jackson, basically.
That's crazy. Like that's like,
or Darnell Savage even.
That's Remember the Titans stuff with Ryan Gosling. You know what I mean? Like, that's complete liability at corner. We don't want that. We don't want any liabilities out there. And that ends your seat. That's part of what ends your season. Like, that's
the same thing for the previous year at the AFC Championship. Christian Benford goes down with a ugly concussion.
Elam, right? Elam
yes.
Came in. Yeah, that was bad.
He was just like, you might as well paint a red target on his back and just have him be the whipping boy for the remainder of the game, and that's ultimately what it was. So,
yeah, I understood that, and I think Brandon Beane did get a little too much kind of pushback on that, like in that press conference post the draft. You know, if you were to, somebody asked him, if you were to tell me what your biggest need was, and you said corner, I would have thought you were crazy. And he's like, I wouldn't. Did you watch the Denver game? Pretty much is what he said.
I mean, and on a surface level,
a lot, and
in the moment, I'm just like, because I went to the draft in Pittsburgh. We got to cover it there. It was an awesome experience. When the pick happened, we're just like, oh, a corner. We were like shocked at that matter because just a little bit earlier, you saw the TJ Parker pick go through, and it was just like, I was like, okay with the pick, but the night before, where you trade out not once, not twice, but 3 times to get into the second round. I think they even traded back again when they were in the second round as well to recoup some draft stock. Like, which again, like, you want to see that pay dividends down the road, just because they were able to get a ton of ammo this year. But still, like, you see the trade for Myles Garrett go down yesterday, and you also wonder that if the Bills were even in like the running for that, like, what could they have even given up? I know the biggest question that came out yesterday, like, the Bills wouldn't have had the horses to make a trade like that because they didn't have a player on the caliber of Jared Verse. But at the same time, you didn't need to package it with an edge rusher, because if Bean, who I think has been rumored in the past to have at least made calls about Myles Garrett, like, you still could have at least made like a push or an effort. But at the same time, you go back to, it's always like, oh, we made some calls, but it was too rich for our blood. But like, when is it ever going to be not too rich? Like, when are you actually going to be because that's what everybody's thinking at the moment right now. Granted, it's maybe I'm a prisoner of recency bias or of the moment here, but like Bean has a lot of goodwill to regain because he was considered to be like the whipping boy after even this past season, but the year before when the drafts didn't exactly go his way.
Right.
And what he said on WGR about the wide receivers thing, and it just and how it was portrayed after McDermott was let go as well. So he's got a lot of goodwill to still get back, even despite having a good day 3 of the draft this year.
Right. And like I was in the process of, I think I was shopping with my fiance or something. I can't remember, but I remember that 4th round thinking when they took Grable, I think his name is Grable, the offensive lineman. Yeah. When they took him, I thought, man, I wanted Sky Bell. I was pissed. And then the round continues. Like a half hour later, I see that they took Sky Bell. I thought nobody else picked him in that whole rest of that round. So I was okay. You know what I mean? I was okay. I just wanted one guy that I could be a little bit excited about. Not even, and this is where people are going to be like, oh God, but not even just for my Bills fandom, but just for the possibility.
That was Jude Bowery, by the way. Jude
Bowery. That's right. That's right. I was thinking of Grable. They do have a Grable.
Kylan Grable, yes. He was the year before.
That's right. So, just to have a guy that I could look at and say, maybe I'd take him as like a late dynasty flyer, Sky Bell. Like for dynasty football, like 3rd round, 2nd, maybe a late 2nd round, being that we're drafting in Buffalo. You know what I mean? Maybe I'd reach for him a little bit. Give me something to just be excited about offensively that's young and that's fun and different. He's one of those players that's really young and fun and different and
has a ton of production on his resume too.
Right. So that was, I mean, overall, I thought their draft was pretty solid. It filled a lot of depth role pieces that they needed, which is what you would want in any draft, let alone one that you're picking in the bottom of that round. Or if you're trading down, you acquire more picks to get more pieces to fill more spots. So,
and this is what many consider to be a draft where it was not exactly top heavy, but like if you go to the middle round, say rounds 2 through 5, like that's where a lot of people would have considered it to
really,
be
really talented.
Yes, a lot of talent there.
Yeah. So I think that the TJ Parker pick is interesting to pair with Bradley Chubb. They say that, Bradley Chubb is one of those guys that he likes to take guys under his wing, however long he's here in Buffalo. I hope he does really well. I'd love to see like one of these veteran guys that they bring in stick around. Von Miller, the injury really put him out of it. And then Joey Bosa, they didn't bring him back.
Who's still unsigned at this point, Joey
Still
Bosa.
Unsigned, right. So there's still maybe potential.
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I mean, Joey Bosa, again, say what you will about his play against the run, but he was a solid pass rusher. He had the most forced fumbles as an edge rusher last year. So I would be fine having him back, obviously. Money's got to be right, too, of course, but it is post-June 1. I mean, anything could happen, but I could very well see him likely going to San Francisco to play with his brother, but who knows?
Right. That would be very, very interesting. So talking about the defensive additions, I want to go back to the offensive side of the ball, and we touched on DJ Moore a little bit. Overall, I'm really, really excited about this. I've maintained the same take since I heard the news. I've watched a lot of DJ Moore since, and I've watched a lot of DJ Moore prior. And for a receiver that has played with such horrible quarterbacks, really outside of Caleb Williams.
And that was only Caleb Williams of last year.
Right. Just 1 year, right? Just 1 year of Caleb, right? So that was good, right? Which his rookie year wasn't really that great, right? Last year was his second year, right? Am I wrong on that? Yeah.
And now he's the Madden cover athlete. So
enter that junior slump, Madden curse coming at you. You know, could be. But tongue in cheek there, but in all seriousness, I think he's actually going to take a step back because of this move, because of losing DJ Moore. And I think Josh Allen, if he had any room to grow, this should help him fill it, because he won an MVP without a wide receiver 1, played another year without a wide receiver 1 last year and played really well. And I think the kind of ceiling caved in on him in that divisional round, where it felt like a lot of those turnovers were just simply him trying to do too much. Now I feel like he's got a guy that when you watch DJ Moore, he's one of the best receivers in the league, in my opinion, at running his route and running beyond his route and extending a play. And he's now working with the quarterback that is the best at extending plays, maybe of all time.
Kind of pick up on that.
So
DJ Moore, he ran more 20-plus yard routes last year than all of Buffalo's receivers combined in the entire season. So he's a big yak guy. Obviously, Joe Brady, his playbook is built on yak. Like you look at all of what Khalil Shakir was able to do. What also helps, again, is that Joe Brady knows DJ Moore for their time in Carolina together.
Sure.
And that is huge right there.
Seamless transition into the
huge
offense.
right there. And then not to mention the fact that DJ Moore was playing with the skeleton of Cam Newton or Kyle Allen, Teddy Bridgewater,
PJ Walker.
Yeah. PJ Walker, can't forget that. But still, for him to get back-to-back seasons with 1,000+ yards, playing with those quarterbacks, that's a testament to what he was then. Obviously, you hope he still has plenty left in the tank. He did just turn 29, but still, he's still a great separator, which is, again, that is a buzzword right there for Bills fans to look at right there, because he's still a great separator. You haven't had anything like that since Stephon Diggs. He's a durable player. Obviously, I'm knocking on all wood, crossing my fingers right there to make sure that stays in that capacity as well. But he's a good scramble drill guy. He's got some great awareness, and he's able to adjust on the fly, like you were saying, being able to extend those plays. He's a big improv guy. Look at the 2 huge catches he had, both against the Packers, of course, one in the playoffs and the other one on a hell of a game that they played. I believe it was in December or January. I wanted to say it was one of the December games where he just caught that deep pass for a touchdown just to take the lead and ultimately the division lead in the NFC North. But still, I was a bit hesitant to say, I love the trade just because of what they gave up to get him, a second-round pick. But show me a second-round pick, and I've really come around on this. Show me a second-round pick that would be as good as DJ Moore right now, just because, again, you're not going to find that, because he's going to be here for the next 3 years, locked in on this contract. And if he plays the way he is, he has, I still think it's going to be a net positive. He's the best receiver they've had in the room, again, since Stephon Diggs. I think he's only going to enhance Khalil Shakir. I am still very hesitant of what to think of Joshua Palmer at this point, just because of the injuries. And when he was with the Chargers, it was the same thing. He never had more than somewhere between 400 and 600 yards. I want to see a healthy season out of him, because you saw that Atlanta Falcons, the loss to the Atlanta Falcons, where he was about to go off, then he had that ankle injury really hamper him the rest of the season in that game. You could even look back at game 1, where it's against the Ravens. Granted, it was 2-minute drill, scrambling to get down the field. He was making some big plays. He was able to get open. He also has some good separation, but still, he left a lot to be desired, as did Keon Coleman too, of course. But still, the wide receiver room, obviously with the addition of Skylar Bell, like you were saying before, I think with you got to temper expectation with him, with a rookie, a 4th-round rookie, mind you. But look back and see what Gabe Davis did as far as what he was a rookie. He added a dynamic element to the offense with just the way he was able to play. He was a deep threat guy, but Skylar Bell offers so much more in his route tree as opposed to what Gabe Davis did. And it's funny, I remember reading this back when Skylar Bell was drafted. He is the 2nd highest drafted receiver that Brandon Beane has ever drafted for the Bills. So first being Keon, then Skylar Bell, and then Gabe Davis a pick or 2 after.
And Khalil Shakir was way later than all those guys. So that really just goes to show you. Yeah, that really just goes to show you that, a lot of these finds that are found, I guess you could say, by Brandon Beane, he's had so much more success with mid-round talent than he has with early round talent. And I think that that's where people can really go one way or the other on criticism. But any of the criticism that was geared toward, because I heard it too, any of the criticism that was geared towards, the Buffalo Bills giving up too much for DJ Moore, I would argue it should have happened sooner, if anything. I don't care what they gave up. I wanted them to go out and get somebody for Josh Allen, post Stephon Diggs. You're talking, that was three seasons ago, the last
which
time
is
he did
crazy
for the Buffalo Bills. That went like that. You know what I mean? So they let Diggs go. They bring in Keon. They try to go the young receiver route. It didn't work out. Now they're going with a guy that has some pedigree, that's been successful in really tricky situations, adding a little bit more youth to that, subtracting a little bit of veteran guys that have been banged up, like Gabe, unfortunately, which I don't know what the future of his career holds, but it was a devastating knee injury to that same knee.
and it sucks too, just because like you finally saw him like get regularly into the rotation. Like I always like Gabe Davis. I mean, he was inconsistent, yes. I mean, but because when he was considered the wide receiver 2 at that point, there were some days where he had a goose egg on the stat sheet, or he went off for like 5 or 6 catches for 100 plus. So
I'll tell you what, he did more with one knee than Curtis Samuel did for the Buffalo Bills.
This is true. Sure. I think I saw one of the rare Curtis Samuel touchdowns his first year there. I went to the Bills Chiefs game where he caught that end zone fade out for one of the first touchdowns I got. I think I got a video of that on my phone, but that was one of like the few Curtis Samuel touchdowns I think he ever had when he was with the Bills.
And the thing is, nothing against these guys. Like I have nothing against them personally, of course. And I wanted to see him do well when he first, when he came here and everything. I wanted it to work out. For the life of me, I don't know why it didn't. Like it just didn't. He didn't fit. It didn't work. Like it just didn't work. And those are the things that I think Joe Brady's got to really tap into. Like, what can I squeeze? How much juice can I squeeze out of every guy that we got? No matter how good they are, where are they good? Where can I fit them? How can I plug and play them? Is Josh Palmer a wide receiver 4, or is he a wide receiver 3?
Or is Keon Coleman wide receiver 3 or 4?
Yeah, it's Keon 3 or 4. Like each week it'll change depending on who they play. The good thing is, and this is where, we really get to fire some zingers. The good thing is that this division is still trash, minus the Patriots. So
yes.
AFC East outlook time. Can the Bills reclaim their status as the beast of the AFC East? I've always loved that phrase. So Buffalo was winning those back-to-back division titles. It was great. I loved it. It felt like a real long time coming.
The 4th or the 5th one where they were able to do the Snow Angels, where they had it locked up by December, just like that's when you knew. It's just like, man, we don't realize what we really have here, huh?
So, right. Yeah. I turned my heat on that night, went to bed, and slept like a baby. That was a great night. But we'll go one by one of the 3 teams in the AFC East: the Miami Dolphins, the New Jersey Jets.
Wait a minute. Way to say it correctly.
New England Patriots, or we'll just say Boston. Just to
sure. Yeah. Sure.
So Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are in full rebuild mode. Providing my kind of narration for it. Full rebuild mode. Jeff Hafley, the new head coach there, former DC of the Green Bay Packers. They ate the most dead money in NFL contract history by deciding to release Tua and the tank for Tua era. They really tanked with all the money that they paid him. They could be
released Tyreek Hill as well.
Released Tyreek Hill, who is still unsigned, by the way. That's
such
out there. That's
dicey thing from like a human standpoint, and just like everybody saw the way that his leg bent. It's just like there's no way you're going to come back from that 100% one season later. But even just from like a human standpoint, character side, like
what is he? 33 as well.
I am not sure if he's reached 30 yet. I'd have to look it up, but still, he's got to be close, if not older than 30 at this point.
Yeah, he's older than. So for context too, and I was talking to a buddy about this, about Odell Beckham Jr. For one, to sidebar this, and it does.
He's 32, by the way. So.
He's 32. Okay, so to sidebar this, like Odell Beckham Jr., I would love to see him make a great comeback. Me personally, I think it'd be a really cool story. I felt horrible for him when he was with the Rams and he blew out that knee again.
Oh, in the Super Bowl,
he was going off in that Super Bowl, by the way. Like, that was his crowning moment to, like, show that he was back and doing it. And then he gets hurt again.
That was rough.
That was sad, right? So a guy like that, you want to see him make a comeback. A guy like Tyreek Hill, we really don't care. Like,
right?
No, it's...
And for these past few years, he was with the Dolphins. Like the Bills, other than that very first like heat wave game, the Bills mostly contained Tyreek Hill. Like he had a few big plays here and there. Don't get me wrong, but like for the most part, like for one thing Sean McDermott did well, especially after the 13 seconds game when he was with the Chiefs and he burned them, like he was able to really contain Tyreek Hill and for the duration he was with Miami. So
the one guy that Buffalo has had a real hard time containing, who is still unfortunately on the Miami Dolphins, is Devin Achane.
Yeah, just got paid.
Will be on the Miami Dolphins for many years to come. So that's really what I look at Miami and say that's one feather in their cap is Devin Achane. He could get so many touches this year, could very easily get hurt though. He is smaller. He's kind of a wiry guy, and he's a speedster. So like he runs faster into bodies than just about anybody in the league. So my outlook on the Dolphins, I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. I think they're going through a huge transitional phase. But let's hear the Mazella take. What do you got?
So I would tend to agree on that. They'll probably steal a few wins here and there, but anytime you play a divisional opponent, anything's up for grabs. Malik Willis, I am surprised for how much he got paid. I mean, yes, he's there for a couple years. I mean, he has that history with the coach just because he was in Green Bay. And also the guy they hired as GM, his name misses me at the moment, but I also know he came from Green Bay as well. So I feel like the three of them more or less came as a package deal with that.
Right.
My question is like, yeah, you have Devon Achane, but like, who's he going to throw to? I mean, he's not known to be a very big in the pocket throwing quarterback. He's very much more a mobile quarterback. So I remember in his draft year, I mean, I live in Virginia, so he was drafted out of Liberty. Like people thought he was like going to be one of the next big things, even just potential first round draft pick potential, but still it never panned out. He was a third round pick ultimately, but still I am just surprised that they're committing this much to Malik Willis. I was looking just briefly in like the last week or so. Marcel Louis-Jacques, formerly on the Bills beat on ESPN. Now he's covering the Dolphins. Yeah. Great follow, by the way.
Yeah.
He was saying how obviously when you have such so much newness there between quarterback, personnel, coaching, everything from top to bottom, it's going to be a lot for like chemistry to really like start to flow for that. So he noticed that right away, saying like things are looking rough. Like not to like, granted, this is OTAs. You're not exactly getting stuff in contact here. You're not fully installed on your playbooks, but he noted that it's evident that like chemistry isn't really like there yet with quarterback and receivers. So again, obviously it's only the spring. You don't know what training camp's going to be, but ultimately I think like what you were saying, Ryan, the Dolphins don't really have a ton to be optimistic about. I mean, they don't have a ton of money, but like they're doing this like purposely. Like
it's a tank effort again, but they're doing it in a way that's like, okay, we're going to put building blocks within this tank job that we're about to do for our future, like type thing.
Right. There are some like good players that are there still. Like I really like Chop Robinson. Like he's going to be a big threat on the defensive line, obviously, as long as he's used the right way, stays healthy, things of that nature. But still, like for the most part, I could see them at most being a 3 to 5 win team as their best optimal results.
That's fair. And I really liked Malik Willis coming out. What shocked me most about the money that they gave Malik Willis is the year in which they decided, like, why would they decide to pay a quarterback?
And he was drafted by Tennessee, right?
Right. Why would they decide to pay a quarterback money that's completely unproven after they just paid a quarterback to leave? Like, it's just, you know what I mean? Like, the timing of it is really weird, especially a year before you got Dante Moore coming out, Arch Manning coming out, you know, into the draft in 2027.
I mean, and if you mentioned that, if you really want to commit to a tank, like, see what Quinn Ewers has. Like he was one of the top college quarterbacks. I mean, granted, he was a 7th round pick when Miami picked him the previous year. But like, if you really wanted to commit to a tank, I would have just let Ewers run the show and see what you had. I mean, heck, you even had Zach Wilson there.
Right.
So, actually, no, he's there now. He was with Denver last year, but still,
you got
Zach Wilson's there
now. That's what, so like they could have done a Zach Wilson, Quinn Ewers, you know, quarterback competition, which, on the surface that stinks, but maybe they thought those guys would die if they played behind the offensive line that they have. So that's why they got Malik Willis to at least excite the fans and like this Willie Beeman style type quarterback that he is.
So they could sacrifice him instead, right?
Right, exactly. And I don't know. I'd love to look up the contract. I'd love to see if there's like an out in his contract after this year, because if there is, then that's what this is. It's a one and done.
I'm pretty sure it's like relatively modest money. I'll look up his spot track real quick.
3-year deal with like maybe a potential out. I don't know. I'm just spitballing, just because if it is, then they'd get out of it in a year and they'd be in that derby of Arch Manning, Dante Moore territory, which would be good for them. You know, like those guys are good. I like both of those guys. So
he's got 3 years. He's $67.5 million total, but $45 million of that guaranteed. So it's essentially like a 2-year deal on there. So like they can get out of that on the 3rd year if they want to. He has a pretty low cap hit going into this season, but with the way they structured the money, but still he's making modest money for what he is as a quarterback.
So so I'm going to look at it like this. If it's a 2-year and out, then he's there to hold the fort down this year, there to maybe compete with somebody better next year. And then you see what happens from there. Like,
or even just how the year goes for Hafley as a coach, because you don't know what kind of coach he's going to be even.
So. Right. Yeah. So there's a lot of moving parts that are kind of still to be determined with that team. And that's what I think alludes to them being a 3 to 5 win team in their own right. The New Jersey Jets.
Yes.
Jets. Jets.
Jete. Don't forget the guy who flubbed that up on the draft stage. Jete. I forget. It was even an alumni player, which was even worse.
I went to the you talked about going to the draft. I went to the Senior Bowl, recent Senior Bowl, a couple times, which was really great. And that was in Mobile, Alabama, and I had some of the best breakfast I've ever eaten in my entire life. That's another story. But I was seated next to a New York Jets beat guy, and it was during the Darnold Allen years.
Oh, that would have been a hell of a year to go.
So so it was they were I think it was 2019. It was the year Buffalo ended up drafting Ed Oliver. Who I really wanted at the time. And we were just going back and forth. He was telling me how great Sam Darnold's going to be. I was telling him how great Josh Allen was going to be. I actually DM'd him recently, and I was like, technically, we were both right.
Right.
So there's really no gotcha. He could say, hey, Darnold's got a Super Bowl, but he didn't stoop to that level, which I respect.
I mean, Darnold, he's how can I describe
only
this?
Played for half a dozen teams before he got to one.
I'm trying to describe this in a very diplomatic way. Like everybody made
like a 2.0 or
no, definitely not that low. Everybody always thought I think throughout the 2010s, if you got an Andy Dalton level quarterback, you're not doing bad. But to me, he was the upper echelon of what your Andy Dalton would be.
Yeah,
this is prime Andy Dalton.
He's a high grade Andy Dalton, which is fine. That's fine.
The prime version of him, not what he is now.
Yep, definitely.
Even you could say Kirk Cousins, one of those guys, I'd say, but the upper tier version of him, and obviously with great weapons around him too. So I would say Sam Darnold, for what Seattle paid for him, and what they're still paying for him, they got a hell of a deal.
They did. They really did. So Jets outlook, I think Aaron Glenn is a dead man walking. If this season doesn't go the way that it needs to go for him, if it's not an improvement, I think Aaron Glenn is on the chopping block by week 6 or 7. If they're 1-5 or 1-6 or something like that, I think he's fired. That's just me. I don't see a guy that is really competent in the role of being a head coach, and they really put a lot of their draft in his hands with, hey, I had a really bad season last year, but a lot of the reason why was because I didn't really have the players I liked defensively. So we're going to go get David Bailey instead of Arvo Reese. We're going to make some changes to this team that are changes I want. And I thought, man, he has not earned that yet. What has he done to kind of earn that type of autonomy that gave him the right to make those picks, and have that power? And granted, it's a collaborative effort, but he really went to bat for the guys that they drafted, and they need to hit. They need to be guys. They're such a bad team that all those rookie draft picks are starting. They're all playing. They're all, linebacker 1 or DE 1 or whatever. So Geno Smith. Wow. And
again,
Brees Hall
that's another Thanos moment for Geno Smith. Where did it lead you? Back to me.
he's just like carrying the torch for EJ and Ryan Nassib and Matt Barkley, and he's like, I'm still here. Like, I shouldn't be, but I am. Like,
right.
That's how I feel.
The Raiders didn't break him.
Right. How do you feel about Brees Hall with the New York Jets? 4-year deal, right?
Yes, he got paid pretty good money, especially for a guy that wanted nothing to do with the team by the end of last season. He was like, you could see like his Twitter reactions for when he didn't get traded at the trade deadline last year. It was like, it's very odd. Like, obviously money talks and makes things happen, but for the Jets as a whole, I mean, my dad's a Lions fan, so he's rooting for Aaron Glenn. He I mean, he's Buffalo guy through and through, but like he's Lions diehard.
I respect
Lions
that.
He'll root for the Bills, but he's a Lions diehard. But anyway, he's rooting for Aaron Glenn, not just because of like being the Jets, of course. I leave it at the Jets, but just for the fact that he came from the Lions. He wants to see the Dan Campbell coaching tree play out well. But he also hates Ben Johnson, conversely. So, but still, it's weird just because Aaron Glenn really pissed off a lot of people, like in particular Garrett Wilson, with just how they just deployed the offense. I mean, granted, when you were stuck with Justin Fields and Tyrod ultimately, like you're not going to be left with a whole lot at the quarterback position there.
That's fair.
And I mean, yeah, Geno Smith might get you a few good plays here and there. Like he's shown to be a competent quarterback, especially with his years in Seattle. You saw that. Like it is there. It is within him. I mean, you got Garrett Wilson. He's going to make some plays. Brees Hall going to make some plays. I mean, you also see Omar Cooper Jr. Maybe somebody that was on the Bills' radar this past draft cycle.
Kenyon Sadiq, too. I like him a lot. He's really fun.
And hell, even if they didn't necessarily play it out there, they have Cade Klubnik if that doesn't work out for them either. So, I mean, you could just start a guy as a rookie there, might throw him to the Wolves a bit, but like at the same time, if they are also in the same camp as like what the Dolphins are doing, they already have next year on the horizon with all these draft picks they got from the Quinnen Williams trade and the Sauce Gardner trade. So they also have a ton of draft capital to use, whether it's on just bolstering the roster from up and down the entire lineup, or if they're going to be swinging for the fences and trying to get one of these quarterbacks that are coming out in next year's draft. So again, just like the Dolphins, they're going to be a team that's looking at 2027 already. But I don't think they're going to be as bad as the Dolphins. No matter who the Jets have at head coach, they always seem to give the Bills fits for at least one of the 2 games out of the season. The second one, the Bills always just handle them. It just feels like in the last 5 or 6 years. But still, I could see the Jets personally being like, again, they'll have some improvement. Like they were pretty putrid last year, considering they had 0 interceptions. But I could see them being anywhere from a 6 to on the higher end if everything goes in their way, a 6 to 8 win team if it was like a perfect rosy outlook for them, ultimately saving Aaron Quinn's job. But again, I don't see them really emerging anywhere high out of the AFC there.
Yeah, and Brees Hall is as excited as he was to get paid. He's got to be thinking, I am still here. Like I'm getting paid, but I am still here. Like in this situation, he's going to get the ball a lot. I think that's okay with him. He's okay getting paid, knowing that he's going to get the ball, which is fair for a running back, right? But he is a talented back. You know, he is somebody that I think is pretty underrated, and a lot of the underratedness to his game is because of the team he plays for. You know, so if he was on a better team, he'd be an even better player than he already is, but still a pretty good player. There's a lot of guys on that team that are super athletic, like the Sadiqs, like the Coopers. Garrett Wilson was one of the better receivers coming out of OSU, and I really do like him, but I can't believe that they went down this Geno Smith rabbit hole. When I saw that, I was like, am I using an iPhone 4? Is it 2013? Like what is going on? Like I texted up, my buddy Eric and my buddy Zach, and I'm like, the Jets, the Browns, the Dolphins, wash, rinse, repeat. they can't get it figured out at quarterback, man. They just can't. It's just they throw like these darts at the dartboard, and it's like Shedeur Sanders, Geno Smith, and Tua. Like when they took Tua instead of Justin Herbert, I went to the Senior Bowl that year. Tua was horrible.
And he was coming off injury, and he's still regularly injured.
Yeah, he was not a good prospect. I thought Justin Herbert was a slam dunk for them, and I was thankful that they didn't take him for obvious reasons, right? So, yeah, Jets. I don't know, Jets. I would agree with you though that probably like best case scenario, 8 wins. But that's
if things have to go their way. Granted, they're playing a 4th place schedule, but still. I mean, and you could also say the same conversely for who we're about to transition to now with New England. They're going from a 4th place to a 1st place schedule.
They're going from one of the easiest schedules of all time, winning percentage-wise, for a team that played in a Super Bowl, to a team that is playing a tough schedule with one of the oddest, strangest sagas that's floated over a head coach. I think probably I'm saying it like it's been a long time since the head coach.
Who still apparently thinks there might be some more news coming out on that too. He's just like, hey, I forget what soundbite it was. It's just like, oh, if anything else comes out, like, what do you mean if anything else comes out? Like, I thought this was done.
What is he, like, related to Michael Jackson? Like, what more is there that could what more is there that could come out?
Right?
Oh my God, I don't know. I pull no punches with it because I had so many fans saying, "Oh, your boy McDermott got fired." I'm like, well, my team chose to fire the coach that wasn't getting it done. Your team is employing the guy that's a distraction to the team and the quarterback that I do like Drake May. I'm sorry. I like him. I do like him. I don't want to like him. But I do like him. I can't help it. It is what it is. So Patriots, they're going to be back. But how back are they going to be back?
I do think it'll be another year where the division will come down to the wire. I can picture it, whether it was like this past year where they had 1 or 2 wins on the Bills, or it was like the year Mac Jones was a rookie and they're trading blows all season long, and you're just seeing the Patriots and the Bills duke it out, I think, all the way to the bitter end. I mean, I want to say the Bills will have learned their lesson for how to not be too cute in plays, but we also, the same guy who was the offensive coordinator is now the head coach, who was indeed too cute on offense at times. And I'm hoping that he did learn his lesson, and he's not predictable in a lot of ways, whether it's with the screen passes or with the hook and ladder. And speaking of the hook and ladder, every time they use the hook and ladder,
it worked
for each game. It worked, but they lost every one of those games. So
that's the desperation play of all desperation plays, right?
Yes.
But yeah, like I say, like, how back are they? Like, there is that Super Bowl hangover for the winner, and there is even more so
for the loser, for sure.
Not the loser, right? And even though the Buffalo Bills made it to 4 straight Super Bowls, I think Steve Tasker said it best. He said, no matter what, whether they went from Super Bowl 25, 26, 27, 28, the way the first one ended lingered so much with that team once they got back to the Super Bowl. They didn't think about it the whole way, but then once they were in that game, it was like, here we go again. Here we go again. And I could easily see why that would happen. That was long before, like, the sports psychologist days, where maybe if Jim could have got into the ear of a sports psychologist, maybe they leave a little less time for Norwood to kick that field goal, just give him a couple more yards. You know what I mean? Like, maybe they would have ticked it down a little bit closer to like 3 seconds, been like a 42-yard field goal instead of a 47.
Or just could have come up with some kind of creative play to beat Bill Belichick and Lawrence Taylor. So anything,
right? Yeah. And then that's just the first one. We can go on and on about that. But my point with the Patriots is Mike Vrabel has been through a lot as a coach, even outside of this scandal, that not many people have really talked about. How he kind of got railroaded by Tennessee, was like a consultant for the Cleveland Browns for a little while, then gets another shot to come back with the Patriots, which was his dream job, dream boss, everything. And I think there's a very realistic chance that could be taken away. I think that, I know Robert Kraft has stood by him and everything like that, but if it continues to get worse, if more things continue to come out about this that are life altering off the field for Vrabel, could be life altering on the field for Vrabel too, and I don't want to kick a guy while he's down. It's pretty terrible, some of the things I have seen. But at the same time, his phrase is, represent yourself with the utmost professionalism and you'll be professionals on the field. Dude, like,
you can't be more of a antithesis of your own.
Yeah, what an oxymoron. Yeah, that's crazy. Like, so
not to mention the fact, like, just you're looking at the Mike Vrabel side of things, like Diana Rossini, like, she's cooked, she's done. Like,
she's over.
Yeah, which is a shame because, like,
it is.
I really enjoyed her content, like her podcast with Chase Daniel on The Athletic. I really enjoyed, like, just what she did there. I mean, she was different as an insider.
Is Chase Daniel is he still doing that?
I haven't checked that particular podcast in a while, obviously, because it's basically like a nuclear bomb with anything that's touching Diana Rossini these days. But it's just like, obviously, like, you like, these people made their own personal choices, like, outside of their professional world, of course, like, they're human beings, like, you're allowed to have that type of consensual relationship. Not going to get too far down that rabbit hole, of course, but still, like, when you're that much in the public eye and you're that much, like, in, like, that world and that atmosphere, like, you're
representing that organization,
or just, like, the NFL media in that regard. And, like, you got to know what would have been right and what would have been wrong in these situations. And for both of them, like, it was an extremely inappropriate relationship. Like, again, like, consenting adults aside, like, you just got to look at the greater good here.
For their sake of their professional careers, I think they were smart enough. They're two very smart people, especially in their own industries, to know that maybe even if our relationship was consensual, it could ruin our professional lives.
Right.
And our personal lives.
Right.
So why?
Right.
That's my thing, and they honestly, I feel sorry for her. I don't think anyone's career should be, ended like that. To go out on that note, that is pretty rough.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, you understand it when you put it when I put it the way that I just did. Like, they understood then this could hurt us professionally, this could hurt us personally, but they still went down that road. And love is a wild thing, man. Makes people do things that they should not do.
Yep. Or the classic F around and find out. Well, they sure found out.
Right. Yep. So it's a team that is getting better with the addition of AJ Brown, no doubt about it. I think he is a big upgrade. I don't know how much big of an upgrade he is compared to Diggs, because he did have some lean years in Philly these last couple. He's had some weird, just battles with Jalen Hurts. I saw that he had a Patriots rug in his house.
That's weird.
For his fan cave when he was with the Eagles, and guys went over to his house and they're like, "What the hell is this?" Like,
that is bizarre.
Made it open that he wanted to be on the Patriots for years while he was with the Eagles. So whatever, he's on the Patriots now, and Drake May seems to enjoy him, and it is what it is. But I do think that this saga just does not seem to be going away for Mike Vrabel, and I think it's going to distract him. I could see them having that type of Super Bowl hangover year where things just kind of fall apart a little bit at the seams in moments. Drake May forces throws that he doesn't normally force.
Or now the book comes out on Drake May a bit more, because now people are looking at him on a more deeper level than they ever have. I mean, he was an MVP runner-up.
Yes.
He was very close to winning it himself. I mean, like, again, we can love to hate him, but, like, the talent and skill is there.
He's great.
I mean,
he's great.
And you hate to see it, the fact that he is on New England and they did very little suffering as a team for all the success they had, of course. But at the same time, he's not going anywhere. And he will be easily, like, after, like, the next year or two, like, another one of these highly paid quarterbacks that'll probably, like, reset the bar for what a quarterback's going to be paid for, especially for where he's at. But when it comes to them as a team, I do like your take on the fact that there will be probably some level of Super Bowl hangover. The schedule, I know my friend Derek Kramer on WGR, he called them schedule merchants of last year. I mean, this is going to be a much bigger test for them. Vrabel, like, again, even in sound mind, he's an excellent coach. I mean, I still think like his acumen is going to like still bring out like the best in the team, of course. Obviously, like if he leaves his personal stuff, like his off the field stuff, like goes strictly off the field and it's just completely dialed in. But again, that's hard for anybody to do with just for what happened to him. I still see them being a big threat in the AFC East. Like, again, I think it's just going to come down to them and the Bills. Like I think it's kind of wild that the Patriots are going to be playing the Seahawks because just the way the NFC West is like the division, like that's the extra NFC game this year. I would rather play the Seahawks than the Rams, which is what the Bills drew this year because they're playing the second place schedule. Not to mention the fact that the Patriots are going to play the Steelers again and the Bills, what do you know, going to get the Ravens once more.
Jesus.
So, yeah. I mean, it's just like little things like here and there, like, it's still going to be a dogfight. Like the Bills' schedule is like, yes, we talked about the Patriots.
It is tough.
It is going to be a gauntlet.
7 weeks are actually pretty difficult, which is kind of random because usually it's the opposite. Usually the tail end of the year is a little tough, and then you do have two of the best holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas. I love the fact that they're playing on Thanksgiving. I do love the fact that they're playing on Christmas, but man, I hope they don't.
I don't want that life on the holidays. I don't want
them to play like crap on the holidays, man. Yeah. That could ruin my holiday.
Right.
We don't want that.
Looking at the schedule right now, they'll play, let's see, looking at week 1, we got Houston, Detroit, Chargers. Like 2 out of those 3 are at home, but week 1 and week 2, like week 2 is a short week against the Lions for the stadium's home opener right there. But then you have week 3 against the Chargers. Week 4 already, you're going to get a little litmus test to see how much better the Patriots and the Bills are after last year, of course. But then right after that, they're playing the Rams on Monday Night Football. They get a little bit of reprieve in theory against the Raiders in week 6. I'm just kind of going week by week here. Then the Ravens come to town November 1st. That looks like it'll be a doozy there. And you got the Vikings, who, again, they're not an easy out here either.
Who's going to be their quarterback, man? That's the $1 million question with that. Whoever is their quarterback.
Without question, Kyler Murray. Without question.
I hope so. I hope so because I've always kind of liked Kyler. I root for the guys that are short because I'm short. So, like, it's just, but like.
I'm as tall as Doug Flutie. I'm like 5'9", 5'10".
Yeah,
so.
I'm 5'8", like on a good day.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm rooting for him, and I like the fact that he was not as crappy as Tua to get cut the way he did by Arizona, who then replaced him with who?
Jacoby Brissett, who apparently is giving
Carson
them
back or whatever. Like, come on, get out of here with
Timmy
that.
from South Park. Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy. So. Good on Minnesota for giving him a chance because I think he deserves it.
Hey, and I have a close friend of mine from work. He's a big Vikings fan, but if there's anybody who will get the best out of Kyler Murray, it's Kevin O'Connell.
100%. He's a great coach. I wanted to get your take before we wrap up here.
Sure.
How big is the Myles Garrett trade for the LA Rams?
I mean, it is seismic. I mean, yes, they gave up Jared Verse, but you got arguably back the best player in football. That's not a quarterback, of course. You talked about like the Browns being the Browns there. I mean, I have a very close friend of mine. He actually went to the draft with us. Shout out to my buddy Pietro again, but he's a long Cleveland sports suffering fan.
God bless him, man.
Right? But
I feel sorry for their fans, man. I really do.
He is kind of at peace with the trade. Like he knew it was going to happen sooner or later, and it was kind of funny. He said, "Oh, I'm just waiting for the Myles Garrett trade to happen." Like, and it was like that day. I was like, "No way that's going to happen." And like, I'll eat crow. I was totally wrong because I didn't see all the rumors that it.
But he's dialed into Cleveland, like he knows. The beat and everything. So
he knows.
Yeah,
he knows. But at the same time, like. He thought it was a pretty solid trade, and like, and in theory, like it is a pretty good deal for the Browns.
It's a very even trade.
Yes,
it's a very fair trade with where both guys are at in their careers. One guy's older, one guy's on a rookie deal still. You know, I think it made a lot of sense for both sides, to be quite honest with you. It's the principle of the Browns feeling like the Browns are being the Browns. Like, I don't think this was the Browns making this call. Number one, I think
Garrett
the Rams
definitely
put
had
this trade together and
yeah.
with Myles Garrett, like not maybe tampering, but like the Rams said, we're interested to the Browns and got this conversation really going, because it seemed like Cleveland just did not want to trade him for a while. They signed him to that big contract last year. That was
just
only
to appease him more or less because
right.
he wanted out.
Right. And it just seemed like Cleveland's not that smart to put this together. I can't give them any benefit. Like when they signed Deshaun Watson to that mega deal, and that's the same guy that's still running the team, by the way. Like it's just it's crazy to me, man. I can't wrap my head around it.
No, I mean, really like it's just preposterous knowing that like Andrew Berry is the guy who made the worst quarterback deal and trade of all time. And now he's the same guy, like you said, who just literally traded away Myles Garrett, the best player in football, and to the Rams, no less, who are just, again,
they trade everything. Like, how do they have the cap? Like, what is their cap? Like, I haven't even looked at it, but they traded for OJ McDuffie. They traded for
Trent McDuffie. Trent
McDuffie. They traded for Trent McDuffie, Myles Garrett. There was somebody that they traded for.
They just re-signed Stafford.
They traded for somebody a couple years ago too, and I know they traded for Stafford too. That was another one. They've traded first round picks away like they're cotton candy, like
pretty much. But like, what's crazy is like, other than like the year they had their injuries, they won like 5 games. That was like when Baker Mayfield was their quarterback for a few weeks towards the end. They've consistently been in the playoffs, NFC championships. They won the Super Bowl. They were a play or two away from going to the Super Bowl again this year. I mean,
yeah. And what I was going to say too about the Rams, they're trying to like speed things up while thinking ahead.
Right.
They took Ty Simpson. Like that was,
I mean, that was met with a lot of controversy. That was met with a ton of controversy.
But I thought that was smart though too. Like,
but they have to really like him in order for that
really
to actually work. So,
right? Do they really like him?
I mean, we won't know for a few years just based on the way Stafford's going to be around. I think Stafford's here through this year and next year. So, I think at the very minimum. I mean, he's a fun quarterback to watch. I mean, again, my dad being a Detroit fan, I've seen plenty of Matthew Stafford highlights and just his overall play.
He's got my vote first ballot. I think.
Oh yeah, he's awesome. Yeah. And I mean, you could give a lot of criticism to who goes into the Hall of Fame now at this day and age, but like Stafford, like for all those years in Detroit, still putting up the numbers he did, and then going to the Rams, won immediately, still putting up great numbers afterwards. I mean, but to kind of like put a whole bigger picture look on the Rams, like they are going to be scary. They are just reloading and locking and loading. Like you talk about your Howie Rosemans, but you also just look at Les Snead right here. Like he is, again, like what you want a lot of other GMs to be. Like I think the comparison to him is the GM of the Vegas Golden Knights. They're doing the same thing in the NHL where they're also throwing caution to the wind. They want the best guys as much as possible. Like they'll go for the proven veterans as opposed to rookies, because rookies and prospects in the NHL take so much longer to develop in season and things like that. So it's wild just to see, and just how successful it is ultimately for both. Like Vegas won their first cup, and it's frustrating because it's their third Stanley Cup in their 9 years of existence. But then the same thing, as soon as Sean McVay has been there, like they've just been perennial, like year after year, contender, making deep runs at the bare minimum. So the Rams are going to be scary. They are rightfully the Super Bowl favorite, just because, again, how do you compete with that defense? Truly. And then now you might see Aaron Donald come back just because Myles Garrett is on the team.
I'm telling you, just the football fan in me would love to see it.
Oh yeah,
I would love to see it. And I thought he retired way too early, like just in general. So,
I mean, even if it was like his last moment, like to go out on a Super Bowl Like, that's no better way to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna choose to retire early, do it that
Yeah.
way
Right? Yeah.
for sure. But like,
Actually,
he's
he
such a
retired the year
talented
after,
guy.
I think, now that I think about it. Yeah,
Oh,
'cause
it
he came back,
was.
yeah.
That's right. He did come
Yes.
back. He was
Yeah,
gonna
because
retire, and then he
the
came
Bills
back.
played him the season opener when he was there,
That's
so
right. That's right. Well, maybe that to prove your point, maybe you should have retired that year before.
right, yeah. Go
But
off into the sunset on top.
I've always thought that that they once they moved to LA that they were going to have a chance to really get some different types of players, because more players will want to play in LA than St. Louis. Even when they were good at St. Louis, it was like with the same group of guys, and then those guys aged out, and then they weren't good anymore. You know what I mean? So they weren't really able to bring in free agents the way that they
the
are
Jeff
now.
Fisher days.
Right. And even like Mike Martz, going back to that, like,
oh wow, yeah,
he was not able to really recapture what they had with Dick Vermeil and the greatest show on turf. You know what I mean? So it's really interesting to see how that trade came together finally. And then we talked about the AJ Brown trade. New England didn't trade a first round pick in 27. They traded a first rounder in 28. And then I hope I got this right. I think it was a fifth in 28 as well.
Sounds about right. Yes.
Yeah, but AJ Brown there, we talked about that. I honestly, I think that this was a move that had to be done for both teams, the Eagles and the Patriots. That's just my take on it.
I mean, it was
for different reasons.
It's been known for months now that they were going to do this trade. I mean, just for the way it was run, I get like the money side of things. It had to happen after June 1st. Or hell, it was even on June 1st at like the exact deadline where they could do it. But still, like it was, it's just bizarre how the entire like scenario played out for Philly. Like they had success. They went to 2 Super Bowls with that core, with Jalen Hurts and with AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. I mean, they're a juggernaut of an offense, no matter who was that offensive coordinator. I mean, Kellen Moore obviously was like the guy who made that thing hum. I forget the name of the guy who just got fired, who was very much like maligned last year. I mean, his name escapes me right now. I'm not a Philly expert at this point, but still, I mean, you couldn't find a way to make that work just in any capacity at all. Like I get like when you have like big, crazy elite wide receivers, a lot of them come with baggage and wanting the ball at all times. And Jalen Hurts being inconsistent, obviously, I can understand that being frustrating, but at the same time, like he's a Super Bowl winning and Super Bowl MVP quarterback, still putting up great stats throughout the seasons. I mean, you have Saquon at running back as well. I mean, I just don't understand why he just had to be absolutely gone and out of Philadelphia. Like it just baffles me. Like you were still getting like 1,000 yards per season in Philly. You were still getting the targets. You're still one of the most relied upon receivers in that offense. I mean, now you're getting replaced by a rookie more or less. And I'd be very curious to see how Philly's offenses ran this year, but to see him go to the Patriots now, like, yes, that stinks, like, as far as, like, going to the division. But, like, again, that's something, like, that's chemistry that needs to be relearned for Drake May and A.J. Brown. Like, yes, they can like it all they want right now, but still, like, he is getting, like, a little bit closer to 30, of course, like, but he's still got some elite production left in him for sure. You got Romeo Doubs, you got Mac Hollins, you got Kayshon Boutte. I mean, you got a variety of guys there. They have Travion, I believe it's Travion Henderson is their running back. Is that correct?
In New England? Yeah.
I was going to say he's a Virginia guy. He's not far
good.
from, he grew up and went to high school, not far from where I live at, about an hour or so away, but still, I mean, they've got some weapons all up and down their offense. I mean, Josh McDaniels, he clearly understands how Drake May plays, like, and unlike anything he ever had with Tom Brady when he was there, of course.
Right.
But I mean, like we said before, the schedule they're going to have is not going to be easy. Like more people are going to be dialed in for making Drake May make mistakes. I mean, the Super Bowl was what it was. Like Seattle feasted on the fact that New England's offensive line was inexperienced and outgunned. And I don't think they made a ton of like improvements to that this year.
No.
In the offseason either. So, I mean, I'll be very curious. And just to kind of put a bow on the entire AFC East thing, I mean, give me a coin flip. One side will be the Bills, one side will be the Patriots. I truly couldn't give you an honest answer just because, again, I think it'll be a dogfight to the bitter end.
Yeah, I couldn't give a pick. I think there's more reasons to believe though that the Bills could get it back, and
Mm-hmm.
there's more reasons to believe that the Patriots could fall off, and a lot of that has to do with this Vrabel thing. I really
Right.
do. I think a lot of it depends on what happens with Mike Vrabel, because you got a great coach versus an unproven head coach, a guy that's never done it before.
Mm-hmm.
We got nothing to good. Like I said this to another guy I was on his podcast, and I said I don't want to sound negative about Joe Brady, but I
Sure.
don't know how Joe Brady is going to do. I've never seen him as a head coach before. I got
Mm-hmm.
nothing to go on. All I got to go on is how he was as an OC, and there were moments, as you said, where he was too cute and he tried to do a little too much with very little, which usually is a recipe for disaster. And I think
And then you have the other pundits saying like, does all the McDermott influence, if they're trying to really scapegoat him in this regard, was Sean McDermott that big of an influence on Joe Brady, or could he not do certain packages or certain types of plays?
Yeah, and I
Because
don't
of
know
that?
that either. And that's another thing. Like you can question that or wonder that, but we don't really know the answer to that until we see it.
Mm-hmm.
So he has surrounded himself. Like I took the time out of my day yesterday. I just had a curious thought. I was like, what are the other coaches that this guy has surrounded himself with? And I know that they hired John Fox as like a special advisor,
Mm-hmm.
veteran coach, has seen
Oh yeah.
everything as head coach, great guy. Pete Carmichael, he has been really close with. He's surrounded himself with a lot of veteran assistants,
Mm-hmm.
which is what a young, smart coach should do that wants to be successful.
I mean,
So
shoot, I'm the same age as Joe Brady. I would want the literal same thing if I was put in that
yeah,
position. I mean, granted, like I would know like what vision I would want to have if I was in those shoes, of course. But like,
Mhm.
I would want people that have been there before to be able to at least not necessarily show me the ropes, but be able to at least be like a calming influence or presence, or be able to provide insight that I would not have.
Right,
So,
or even have enough respect for their pedigree to tell me what to do
mhm.
sometimes. Like tell me that I made a mistake and I'll
Right.
fix it. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. I think Joe Brady seems like the type of coach that like welcomes that,
Mhm.
which is good.
And it's
I
not just like I am the coach, everything must go through me, I am the law type of thing. Like he seems
right.
more open to like we were just alluding to here, the
Yeah.
fact that he's willing to like take in more voices to kind of help guide the team.
Yeah, which is kind of a modern approach, that has been successful. I think you don't build a coaching tree and guys being successful under you and then they leave and they're successful without that. Like Sean
Mhm.
McVay, a lot of the guys that he worked under, and then he eventually had guys that worked under him. I think he like modeled that after what he learned, and like
Mhm.
guys like Kevin O'Connell and the LaFleurs and guys like that he was near close to and were close to him. They fed off of each other. So it's really, I think it's an exciting time for the fans of the Bills, because you could say that this is like the most modern hire they've had in a really long time.
Oh yeah.
And the NFL has been kind of geared towards these younger, offensive-minded coaches, and they did make him QB coach to OC to head coach. Like they like this guy,
Mhm.
and they're seeing things that we don't see. So will we see those things come the regular season in a successful way? I, for obvious reasons, hope so.
Yeah. One last point I'll bring about, like I mentioned, listening to Tyler Dunn and Jay Skursky.
Mhm.
They talked about this as well. Like it's very irregular to see a path like Joe Brady's. And if
Very
you
strange.
took the
Yeah.
name off of the like resume, of course, and you just looked at him, uh, what's it called? If you looked at just like who it was on paper, you saw who was ultimately like the person that applied for the job, and you see, oh, this guy guided the 2024 MVP, and then in 2025 he got the guy with the rushing title, and all through his offensive play calling. Like that sounds pretty great,
Mhm.
because in a vacuum, like when I first heard the news or first saw it, when Joe Brady was hired, I was just like, oh man, this is more going to be like more of the same. Like it's going to be like you're not going to get anything new or intuitive or creative as far as the offense goes, and it's just like you were left wanting more just because of just who was out there. You saw who's the guy that just got hired by the Raiders? Why am I just forgetting his name? He was just with Seattle. Clint Kubiak. Yes,
yeah,
Clint Kubiak.
That's the guy I wanted, to be
right?
honest.
And then the guy from Jacksonville, young guy. I mean, they saw
Liam Cohen's disciple.
Yes. Oh, it's
God.
yeah. I mean, the name's missing me right now, but you know who I'm talking about at least. But you had all these offensive guys anywhere, and even down to like Phillip Rivers and Brian Dable, like even just some wild ones too, of course. But still, and heck, even Anthony Lynn made his way in there too. Grant Udinski. Yes, good one. Yes. But still, like when you saw all those names go through, and then you was like, you picked Joe Brady, and like then you see more come out on him and just like who he is as a person and things like that, like his opening presser, like say what you will, just about like what you do and those types of things, of course. But like I walked away thinking like, all right, this guy seems like pretty good. Then you read more about his resume and things like that, and just I don't know, like I'm gonna go in with an open slate, like
sure, and the players wanted him. That's another thing. That's the biggest thing for me. The players went to bat for him offensively, especially, but defensively too, and said, you know what? Like, this guy's earned it. He's earned the opportunity. We want to see him in this opportunity. And I think he's a good coach for the fact that they see how his personality is. He's a little lighter. He's a little more to what we talked about in the beginning of the podcast, where he'll allow people to be a little bit more flashy in comparison to the mentality that Sean McDermott has is not as a football coach. And I've said this to so many people, and then they're like, oh, like to me, Sean McDermott always had a wrestling coach mentality because he was a wrestler. Like that's more who he is than a football player.
Cold and calculated.
Yeah.
Always.
And just kind of even keel and like not letting your emotions get too high or get too low. And players don't like that. Players want a coach that reacts honestly, like Ken Dorsey did, you know, in that press box. Like some people made fun of that. Some players were like, yeah, that was pretty terrible that we lost that game that way.
He wore it on his sleeve though, and he owned it.
Yeah, right. So, you know, there's a lot of different ways of handling a victory and a loss. And I'm really curious. Like this is a season. I need him in that AFC title game. I'm right there with you. But this is a season that I think is really going to dictate the future of Josh Allen's career, like the arc of Josh Allen's career. Like if this season goes well, it's going to continue to go up. If it doesn't go well and it goes horribly wrong, just worst case scenario, could get really interesting around here in a lot of different ways.
Sure can. That is an understatement of the year right there as far as what's going on in the world of Bills Mafia.
Right. I'm confident though. I'm excited. Chris, loved having you on the pod, bud. This was fun.
Oh, yeah. 90 minutes fell off the clock like it was nothing, man.
It did. Yeah. We'll definitely do this again. Love to hop on your show sometime. If you ever need a seat to be sat in, I'm willing to park my fanny in your guest chair.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if just do a quick plug, tomorrow, Shawnee V and I are actually back. So you can look for us on the Buffalo Fan Base platform. We're also part of the Hockey Podcast Network for our hockey roots that we started with, of course. We are going to have Mark from Sabres Fun Stats. So a lot of people from Sabres Twitter know him. He's got that vintage picture of Rick Jeanneret as his profile picture. But we're gonna have Mark on, and he is gonna just kind of go through the Sabres season as a whole with us. On just what to look for in a very interesting offseason that they'll have ahead of them as well. Just for things like what to do with Alex Tuck. Now the news of Lindy Ruff being snubbed, of course, on the Jack Adams. But still, just look forward to that tomorrow. We'll be on same time tomorrow evening, 9 p.m. Eastern time. But Ryan, again, pleasure being on with you, man.
Yeah, definitely loved it. Loved having you on, man. This was fun. I love getting the chance to meet new people, conversate with new people. We've been, kind of seeing each other's names in the group chats. I've let everybody know, anybody who's anybody, I'd love to have you on. Want to get the slate full of guests and stuff. And who better to start with here than you, man? I really appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate you, man. And like I said, the invitation is always going to be open for you as well, especially now with Bills football really ramping up throughout the summer.
Sounds great, man. I'm looking forward to it. Enjoy the rest of your night, what's left of it, and I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds great, dude.
All righty. Chris Mazella joining me on the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. Really appreciate him hopping on for all your Buffalo Bills takes, Buffalo Sabres. I'm sure we'll be hearing from Chris again pretty soon. He'll be back on the pod as we just said there. You'll see me on their pod, do some cool stuff throughout the summer. We really dove into a lot. The Jets, Dolphins, Patriots. Really optimistic for the rest of this Buffalo Bills season, off season. It's gonna be another fun year. God willing, please don't break my heart. Please don't do it. Please don't do it again. I can't take much more. I'll see you guys soon. Talk to you next week. With that was the Thomas Take. I'm Ryan Thomas, joined by Chris Mazella. We're out.